The stars looked different from this side of the galaxy, Linda Coleman thought as she stared out the viewport of the research station. Orbital Platform 6 had been her home for the past 2 years as she studied alien communication patterns. The human race had made contact with 7 different species so far, but the newest arrivals, the ones that called themselves the Zorathi, remained a mystery. Linda was 32 with short brown hair and keen blue eyes that missed nothing. She had been chosen for this assignment because of her unusual talent for patterns and her patience. Most humans wanted quick answers, but Linda knew that understanding took time, especially when dealing with beings so different from humans. The Zorathi ship had appeared 3 months ago, parking itself in orbit around Jupiter without any warning. It was massive, nearly the size of Earth's moon, and shaped like a giant sea urchin, with spines that glowed with pulsing blue energy. The first attempts at communication had failed completely. The universal translation matrix that worked with other aliens produced only gibberish when applied to the strange musical tones the Zorathi broadcast. That was when Central Command had called Linda. Now she sat in her small lab surrounded by screens displaying waveform patterns of Zorathi communications. She had made progress slow but steady. The aliens did not use language as humans understood it. Their communication was mathematical at its core, based on prime numbers. And quantum frequencies. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts, Dr. Coleman. The station AI announced, "General Adams requests your presence in the command center immediately." Linda frowned. General Susan Adams rarely visited the research station and never without advance notice. Something must have happened. She saved her work and hurried down the curved corridor, her heart beating faster. The command center buzzed with activity. When Linda entered, she saw General Adams, a tall woman with steel, gray hair cut short, standing before the main display screen. Her uniform was crisp and her expression serious. Next to her stood Dr. Olivia Reyes, the station's chief scientist, looking worried. "Dr. Coleman," General Adams said when she spotted Linda, "we have a situation. The Zorathi ship has launched what appear to be pods. Hundreds of them heading toward Earth." Linda felt her stomach tighten. "Attack pods?" "We don't know," Dr. Reyes said. "They don't match any weapons profile we recognize, but they're moving fast and will reach Earth in approximately 6 hours. Show me the latest transmissions," Linda requested. A technician brought up the data. The musical tones of the Zorathi filled the room, but now they had changed. The pattern was faster, more complex. Linda studied the waveforms, her trained eyes seeing what others could not. "They're excited," she said after a moment. "Not aggressive. The mathematical sequence has shifted to a higher order of primes. This isn't an attack. Something else is happening." General Adams looked skeptical. "We can't take that chance. Earth defense systems are on high alert. The Security Council is considering a preemptive strike against the pods." "No," Linda said sharply, surprising herself with her vehemence. "Give me an hour. Just 1 hour. I think I can figure this out." The General and Dr. Reyes exchanged glances. Finally, Adams nodded. "1 hour, Dr. Coleman. But if we don't have answers by then, we have to act." Linda rushed back to her lab, her mind racing. Through the viewport, she could see Jupiter massive and swirling with clouds. The Zorathi ship hovered nearby, still pulsing with that strange blue light. Linda had spent months studying those pulses, learning their rhythms. She knew there was a pattern, a meaning. She just had to find it. She pulled up all the data, feeding it into her custom analysis program, then added the new transmission patterns. The program began running comparisons, searching for correlations. Linda paced impatiently, waiting for results. A soft ping alerted her that the program had finished. She sat down and began reading the analysis. Her eyes widened. "That's it," she whispered. "That's what they're doing." Linda ran back to the command center, bursting through the doors without ceremony. "The pods aren't weapons," she announced breathlessly. "They're observation devices. The Zorathi are scientists. They study civilizational development. They want to observe us, not harm us." Dr. Reyes looked intrigued, but General Adams remained skeptical. "You determined this? How exactly?" "The mathematical patterns." Linda explained, pointing to the data on her tablet. They repeat the same sequence we use in our own xenobiological studies. It's a standard scientific observation protocol and recognized it because we use something similar. The Zorathi are researchers just like us. If you're wrong, General Adams said grimly, Earth could pay a terrible price. I'm not wrong, Linda insisted. And I can prove it. Give me access to the main communication array. I need to send a response. After a tense discussion, General Adams reluctantly agreed. Linda went to work programming a reply using the mathematical language she had deciphered. She sent a simple message one scientist to another, acknowledging their research and requesting collaboration, rather than unilateral observation. For 30 agonizing minutes there was no response. The pods continued their journey toward Earth. The defense systems remained on high alert, fingers hovering over triggers. Then suddenly the Zorathi ship pulsed with intense blue light. A new transmission came through, different from any before. Linda fed it into her program. Her face broke into a wide smile. They understood. They're recalling the pods. On the main viewer, they watched as the hundreds of small objects changed course, heading back toward the mothership. General Adams let out a breath she had been holding. Well done, Dr. Coleman, she said. It seems you prevented what could have been a disastrous first contact situation. 3 days later, Linda sat nervously in a small shuttle approaching the Zorathi ship. She had been chosen to be the first human representative to meet the aliens face to face. Her shuttle was escorted by 2 military craft, but they remained at a respectful distance as her shuttle approached a section of the massive alien vessel opened, revealing a docking bay bathed in soft blue light. Her pilot, a woman named Diane Walker, looked back at her. Ready, Doctor. Linda nodded, though her dry mouth and racing heart suggested otherwise, as ready as it'll ever be. The shuttle settled onto the alien deck with a gentle bump. Linda gathered her equipment and moved to the airlock. Her suit sensors indicated the atmosphere was breathable, though with higher oxygen content than Earth normal. She removed her helmet and took a cautious breath. The air smelled faintly of ozone and something like cinnamon. A doorway appeared in what had seemed to be solid wall. Linda stepped forward, heart pounding with both fear and excitement. This was why she had become a xenolinguist. To understand, to connect, to bridge worlds. The chamber beyond was circular with a domed ceiling that seemed to reflect the stars outside. In the center stood 3 figures unlike anything Linda had imagined. The Zorathi were tall, nearly 8 feet, with slender bodies covered in what looked like fine feathers, in shades of blue and purple. They had 4 arms, and their faces featured large compound eyes that shimmered with rainbow colors. The tallest of the 3 stepped forward and made a musical sound. Linda's translation device processed it, then spoke in a soft, female voice. Welcome, scientist, Linda. We have waited long to meet those who sing. With mathematics, Linda swallowed her nervousness and replied, Thank you for allowing me to visit. I represent Earth and all humans. We are honored to meet you. The translation device converted her words into the musical tones of Zorathi the alien, made a gesture with its 4 arms that the translation device did not interpret, but Linda sensed it was a sign of respect or welcome. You prevented misunderstanding, the Zorathi said. Others would have attacked our observers. You sought meaning. First, this is the mark of a species ready for greater knowledge. Linda felt a wave of relief wash over her. We have so many questions about your people, your technology, your science. As we have about yours, the alien replied. This is the beginning of exchange. Our species are different in form but alike in curiosity. This is the foundation of understanding. As the first meeting continued, Linda realized this was merely the first step on a long journey of discovery. The Zorathi were the most alien beings humans had yet encountered, but they shared something fundamental, a desire to learn to understand the universe and its many wonders. When Linda returned to the station hours later, she carried with her not only scientific data, but also a profound sense of hope. The stars might look different from this side of the galaxy, but the desire to reach for them, to understand them, that was universal. And in that shared desire, Perhaps all sentient beings could find common ground. 6 months had passed since the first meeting between humans and the Zorathi. Linda Coleman now lived aboard the alien vessel in a section specifically adapted for human biology. She had learned much about these fascinating beings. Their society was built around the pursuit of knowledge, with different groups specializing in various scientific disciplines. The Zorathi who had first greeted her was named Zorthal, a senior researcher in comparative civilizational studies. Linda had discovered that the Zorathi had visited over 300 worlds across the galaxy, documenting the rise and fall of countless species. They were not conquerors or colonizers, but observers, and occasionally when they found a species they deemed ready teachers. Today, Linda was scheduled to meet with the Zorathi High Council, a rare honor for a non-Zorathi. The council wanted her assessment of humanity's readiness for advanced knowledge. Linda felt the weight of responsibility as she prepared. She would essentially be arguing for the future of her entire species. Zorthal entered her quarters with a musical trill that Linda had come to recognize as a greeting. The council awaits Linda Coleman. Zorthal said, "Are you prepared?" Linda smoothed her uniform, a special design that incorporated both Earth diplomatic colors and patterns that the Zorathi found respectful. "As ready as I can be. What exactly should I expect?" The council will ask difficult questions. They will test not just your knowledge but your wisdom. Zorthal's feathers rippled in what Linda now recognized as concern. Few species reach this stage. Most are not deemed ready. And if humanity isn't ready, Linda asked, then we will continue to observe from a distance for another cycle. Perhaps, in 50 of your years we would reconsider. Linda nodded, understanding the stakes. They walked together through the curving corridors of the ship. The architecture of the Zorathi always reminded Linda of underwater structures, organic and flowing. As they approached the council chamber, Linda could hear the musical communications of multiple Zorathi, a complex symphony of information exchange. The chamber itself was immense, a perfect sphere with platforms at various levels. The High Council, 7 Zorathi with feathers and deep indigo, sat on the highest tier. Linda was directed to a platform in the center, suspended in mid-air. Linda Coleman of Earth. A Zorathi with elaborately patterned feathers addressed her. "We welcome you to the High Council. You have studied our ways for half an Earth cycle. What have you learned?" Linda took a deep breath. "I have learned that knowledge without wisdom is dangerous, that technology without ethics leads to destruction, that curiosity without respect creates harm. These seem to be universal truths that both our species recognize." The council members trilled softly among themselves. The lead counselor spoke again. "And do you believe humans understand these truths?" "Some do," Linda answered honestly. "Not all. Some humans pursue power or wealth without concern for consequences. But many more seek to build, to grow, to improve life for all. That balance, that struggle between self-interest and collective good, is part of what makes us human." "We have observed your species for many cycles," another counselor said. "You war with each other. You damage your planet. You create weapons of alarming destructive capability. Why should we share advanced knowledge with such a species?" Linda had anticipated this question. "Because we are learning. Every generation of humans has become more peaceful, more cooperative, more conscious of our impact on our world and each other. We are not perfect, far from it, but we are evolving socially and ethically, not just technologically." A compelling argument. The lead counselor acknowledged. "But words are easy. Actions are the true measure. May we examine your memories, Linda Coleman, to see humanity through your experiences. This is how we best understand a species." Linda hesitated. "This was unexpected. You can view my memories." "With your permission," Zorthal explained from nearby. "It is painless, and we would only access memories you willingly share." Linda considered this request. She thought about what memories would best represent humanity, not just the triumphs but the struggles, the capacity for both cruelty and kindness that defined her species. "I consent," she finally said. but understand that I am just one human. My experiences are limited. 2. Zorathi approached her carrying a device that looked like a delicate crown made of crystal and living metal. They placed it gently on her head and instructed her to think of memories that showed humanity's true nature. Linda closed her eyes and remembered. She showed them her childhood in rural Iowa, the small community that came together after a devastating tornado, rebuilding homes for neighbors. She showed them her university days, the passionate debates about ethics and responsibility in scientific research. She showed them wars and conflicts she had witnessed as a linguist working in crisis zones, the terrible destruction, but also the medics who treated enemies and allies alike. She showed them art, music, literature, the ways humans tried to understand their own existence through creative expression. She showed them humans protecting endangered species, replanting forests, cleaning oceans despite no economic benefit. And finally, she showed them the moment when humanity chose communication over conflict with the Zorathi, when understanding prevailed over fear. When the memory crown was removed, Linda felt drained, but at peace. She had shown the truth, both good and bad. The council retreated to deliberate, leaving Linda and Zorthal waiting. The minutes stretched into an hour. Linda wondered if she had failed, if she had doomed humanity to decades more of isolation from advanced knowledge. Finally, the council returned, Linda Coleman of Earth. The lead counselor announced, "We have reached a decision. Your species stands at a crucial point in development, capable of greatness or terrible destruction. The path is not yet determined." Linda held her breath. "We will not share all knowledge," the counselor continued, "but we will begin a limited exchange, a test period, to see if humans can use responsibly what we offer. We will focus on environmental restoration, medical advancement, and sustainable energy. These areas present minimal risk if misused and maximum benefit if implemented wisely." Relief washed over Linda. This was better than she had hoped for, a beginning, a chance to prove humanity's worth. "Thank you," she said simply. "We will honor this trust." The news of the Zorathi decision spread quickly across Earth. The prospect of advanced alien technology, particularly in medicine and environmental science, created excitement and hope, but it also triggered fear and suspicion among some groups. Linda found herself summoned back to Earth to brief the United Nations Security Council. She stood before representatives of Earth's most powerful nations trying to explain the Zorathi perspective. "They're offering us a test," she explained, "a chance to prove we can use advanced knowledge responsibly. And if we fail this test," the representative from Russia asked, "then the knowledge exchange stops." Linda said, "The Zorathi aren't threatening us. They simply won't share more until we demonstrate wisdom with what they've already given." "How do we know this isn't a trick?" the Chinese representative questioned. "Perhaps this technology is a Trojan horse." Linda shook her head. "I've lived among the Zorathi for 6 months. They could have destroyed Earth at any time if that was their intention. Their entire civilization is built around knowledge acquisition and preservation. They've seen species rise and fall across the galaxy. They have no interest in conquest, only in finding civilizations that can join their network of knowledge exchange." The debate continued for hours. Linda grew frustrated with the suspicion and political maneuvering, but she also understood these leaders were responsible for protecting their people. Caution was reasonable. Finally, a compromise was reached. A small international team of scientists would work directly with the Zorathi to study and implement the offered technologies. Progress would be carefully monitored, and results shared globally. As Linda left the UN building in New York, she felt both exhaustion and hope. The path ahead would not be easy. Human fear, suspicion, and greed would create obstacles, but the opportunity was unprecedented. A chance to advance human civilization by centuries. Back in her hotel room, Linda found a secure message waiting from Zorthal. "The Council observes your efforts," it read. "This resistance was anticipated. Fear of the unknown is common among evolving species. We remain committed to the exchange. Some among us argued against it, Believing humans too volatile, too unpredictable. I spoke for your potential. I shared what I have observed in you, Linda Coleman. Do not prove my assessment wrong. Linda stared at the message, feeling the weight of responsibility. The fate of human advancement rested partly on her shoulders. She thought of all she had learned. From the Zarathi, their patient approach to knowledge, their long view of civilization development. Humans rushed, always rushed, demanding immediate results, immediate answers. The Zarathi understood that true wisdom came slowly through careful observation and thoughtful implementation. It was a lesson humanity needed to learn. Linda typed a reply, I understand. The path will be difficult but worth traveling. Thank you for your faith in us. We will strive to be worthy of it. As she sent the message, Linda gazed out her window at the New York skyline glittering against the night sky. Somewhere up there, the Zarathi ship orbited, watching, waiting to see what humanity would do with this opportunity. They had traveled across the stars, offering not conquest, but cooperation, not domination, but dialogue, and that Linda thought was the most human thing of all. The International Zarathi Exchange Center sprawled across what had once been a military base in neutral Switzerland. Nearly a year had passed since the knowledge exchange began, and the results were already transforming human society. New medical treatments had virtually eliminated several forms of cancer. Clean energy systems based on Zarathi designs were being implemented in cities around the world, and environmental restoration projects had begun to heal some of the worst damage humans had inflicted on their planet. Laura Wilson stood at the entrance to the research facility, clutching her identification badge nervously. At 28, she was the youngest scientist invited to join the exchange program. Her specialty was neurological disorders, particularly those affecting children. She hoped the Zarathi knowledge might help her develop treatments for conditions previously considered untreatable. A security officer checked her credentials. Dr. Wilson, welcome to Isaac, please follow. The guide who will show you to your quarters and lab. A young man named Alan greeted her with a warm smile. Dr. Wilson, this way, please. Your arrival has been eagerly anticipated. The Zarathi specifically requested someone with your expertise, Laura. Felt a flutter of excitement and apprehension. They asked for me specifically. Why? They've developed an interest in human neuroplasticity. Alan explained as they walked through the sprawling complex. Apparently it's quite remarkable compared to other species they've encountered. Your research on neural pathway regeneration caught their attention. The facility was a curious blend of human and Zarathi architecture. Human buildings connected by the organic flowing structures favored by the aliens. The effect was jarring at first, but Laura found it strangely appropriate, a physical manifestation of the knowledge exchange itself. Her lab was larger than any she had worked in before, equipped with both human and Zarathi technology. The alien devices were beautiful, nearly artistic in their design, curving crystalline structures that seemed to glow from within. Your Zarathi counterpart will meet you tomorrow morning, Alan informed her. For now, get settled in your quarters through that door connected directly to your lab as you requested. After Alan left, Laura explored her new workspace, running her fingers over the alien equipment, wondering how it functioned. A soft chime indicated someone at the lab door. Come in, Laura called, expecting perhaps another staff member with orientation information. Instead, a Zarathi entered the lab. Its feathers were a pale lavender shade, unlike the deeper blues and purples Laura had seen in videos. Its four arms moved with graceful precision as it approached Dr. Laura Wilson. The Zarathi said through a translation device, I am Eli Zor, senior neurological researcher. I apologize for disturbing your settling-in period, but I was eager to meet you. Laura tried to hide her surprise. No apology needed. I'm honored to meet you. I didn't expect to begin work until tomorrow. The Zarathi's compound eyes shimmered. Tomorrow is simply an arbitrary division of time. Knowledge seeks no schedule. Laura smiled at this. A fair point. What aspect of my research interested you? Your work on neural regeneration in children with traumatic injuries. Eli Zor replied, the adaptability of the human brain, particularly in early development stages, is remarkable. We Zarathi lack such neuroplasticity. Our neural pathways, once formed, remain largely fixed. This limits certain types of learning but enhances others. Fascinating. Laura said, genuinely intrigued. Perhaps we could learn from each other's neurological differences. Precisely why you were selected. Elizor's feathers rippled in what Laura guessed was approval. The Council believes that combining our understanding of neural function with human adaptability could advance both our species. For the next few weeks, Laura worked closely with Elizor and a team of human and Zorathi scientists. Their focus was developing neural interface technology that could help repair damaged brain tissue. The Zorathi contributed their advanced understanding of brain mapping, while the humans offered insights into neural regeneration. One evening, as Laura reviewed brain scan data, she noticed something unusual in the Zorathi neural patterns. Elizor, look at this section. These neural clusters, they resemble human memory centers, but they're structured differently, more isolated. The Zorathi moved closer, examining the scans. You have made an important observation. These are what we call memory locks, specialized neural structures that contain ancestral memory. Ancestral memory. Laura repeated. You mean genetic memory, inherited knowledge? Similar but more direct. Elizor explained. Zorathi can access the experiences of our ancestors, not just instinctual knowledge, but actual memories. This is why our learning is different from yours. We begin with the accumulated knowledge of generations. Laura sat back astonished. That's incredible. So you don't need to relearn what your ancestors discovered. Correct, though, the memories must be activated through specific stimuli and training. Elizor's feathers shifted to a deeper purple. This is both our strength and limitation. We excel at building upon established knowledge but struggle with truly novel concepts. This is where humans are remarkable. Your neural adaptability allows creative leaps that often elude us. The implications were profound. Each species had neurological advantages and limitations. Together, they might overcome both. As months passed, the research team made breakthrough after breakthrough. They developed a neural interface that could stimulate regeneration in damaged human brain tissue. The potential applications were enormous, from treating neurodegenerative diseases to repairing traumatic injuries. But as word of their success spread, complications arose. Political pressure mounted to weaponize the technology to create enhanced soldiers or surveillance systems. Some military leaders argued that neural interfaces could give them an edge in global conflicts. Laura found herself summoned to a closed meeting with government officials from several countries. Dr. Wilson began, a stern woman who identified herself only as Director Clark. Your work has significant national security implications. We need to discuss classified applications. Laura felt her stomach tighten. The Zorathi provided this knowledge for medical applications, not military ones. The Zorathi don't dictate how we use technology on Earth. A military officer interjected. This could revolutionize warfare, give us capabilities our adversaries can't match, and start a global arms race using technology we barely understand. Laura countered. The neural interface is designed for healing, not harm. Converting it to military use would violate our agreement with the Zorathi. Agreements can be reinterpreted, Director Clark said dismissively. National security takes precedence. Laura left the meeting deeply troubled. She knew she had to inform Elizor, but feared the consequences. If the Zorathi discovered humans were considering weaponizing their knowledge, they might end the exchange entirely. That evening she found Elizor in the research garden, a peaceful space where many scientists went to think, surrounded by plants from both Earth and distant Zorathi worlds. I sense distress in your movements, Elizor observed as Laura approached. Has something occurred? Laura took a deep breath and explained the meeting. Her fears about military applications, her concern about violating trust. She expected alarm, perhaps anger. From the Zorathi instead, Elizor's feathers rippled in what Laura had come to recognize as a sign of resigned acknowledgement. This development was anticipated, the alien said. It has occurred with nearly every species we have encountered. The Zorathi Council discussed this possibility extensively before approving the exchange. You knew this would happen? Laura asked, surprised. We calculated a 73% probability based on historical human behavior patterns and current geopolitical tensions. Elizor explained. This is why we began with medical and environmental knowledge areas where weaponization is more difficult, though, as you've seen, not impossible. What happens now? Laura asked. Will you end the exchange? That depends on what humans do next, not just your leaders, but scientists like yourself. Elizor turned its compound eyes toward Laura. Throughout our history, observing developing civilizations, we have noted a pattern. Those species that successfully navigate this phase, the conversion of knowledge from beneficial to harmful applications, are those where individuals make ethical choices even at personal cost. Laura understood the implication. You're saying I need to take a stand against weaponization, Saminai. I'm saying that this moment, this decision point appears in every civilization's development. Yours now stands at this crossroads. The path chosen will determine much. In the days that followed, Laura struggled with her options. She could continue her work pretending ignorance of military applications. She could resign in protest, though someone else would simply take her place. Or she could take more direct action. After much consideration, she made her decision. She gathered comprehensive documentation of the military plans, and with help from colleagues who shared her concerns, released it to the global scientific community and media. The information exposed not just the weaponization efforts, but the potential consequences. The revelation triggered international debate. Scientific organizations issued statements condemning military applications of the neural technology. Public protests erupted in cities worldwide. Laura found herself simultaneously praised as a whistleblower and condemned as a traitor. 2 years into the knowledge exchange between humans and the Zarathi Earth had changed in ways few could have predicted. Global cooperation had replaced much of the old geopolitical rivalry as nations worked together to implement alien technology. Environmental restoration projects were showing remarkable results, with formerly polluted regions returning to health faster than anyone had thought possible. New medical treatments had extended human lifespans and cured diseases once thought terminal. But perhaps the most profound change was happening in space. Kira Johnson floated in the observation bubble of the first human ship built with Zarathi technology. The horizon was not large as spacecraft went, but it incorporated alien principles that made it faster and more efficient than anything humans had previously designed. Its mission was to travel to Jupiter to study the massive gas giant up close with a crew of just 12 scientists and engineers. Kira was the ship's pilot, though. That title barely described her role. The neural interface she wore allowed her to feel the ship as an extension of her own body, to sense radiation and micrometeorites, to adjust course with thought rather than manual controls. It had taken months of training to adapt to the sensation, but now it felt natural, almost like breathing. "Beautiful, isn't it?" said a voice behind her. Kira turned to see Dr. Sharon Hayes, the mission's lead scientist, floating into the bubble. Her dark skin contrasted with her white uniform, making her look like a negative image against the blackness of space. "Every time I look, I can't believe we're actually here," Kira admitted. "When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut, but the training, the physical requirements, seemed impossible with my condition." Kira had been born with a rare muscle disorder that limited her physical strength. Though her mind was sharp, she had never qualified for traditional astronaut programs. The neural interfaces developed from Zarathi knowledge had changed everything, allowing her to pilot a spacecraft through thought rather than physical control. "The Zarathi changed everything," Sharon agreed, looking out at the stars. 2 years ago, we were still arguing about whether to trust them. Now we're flying to Jupiter in a ship based on their technology. A gentle chime sounded throughout the ship, the signal that they were approaching Jupiter. The gas giant grew larger in the viewport, its swirling clouds bands of russet and cream, with the famous Great Red Spot visible along one side. It was surrounded by its many moons, tiny dots of light against the vastness. Kira settled into the pilot chair and activated the neural interface. The familiar sensation washed over her as her consciousness expanded to encompass the ship. She could feel the gentle pressure of solar radiation, the distant pull of Jupiter's gravity, the minute adjustments of the engines compensating for both. "Beginning orbital insertion," she announced, though, She could have simply sent the message through the ship's communication system. Speaking aloud was a concession to human habits. The Zorathi rarely used vocal communication, preferring direct neural exchanges. The horizon slid gracefully into orbit. Around Jupiter, the massive planet filling their viewports, the ship's sensors extended, creating a multi-dimensional map of radiation patterns, gravitational fields, and atmospheric composition. Sharon and her team exclaimed in delight as the data began flowing in. "These readings are extraordinary," Sharon said, examining the holographic displays. "The atmospheric probes are showing chemical compositions we never detected from Earth." Kira monitored the ship's systems, ensuring they maintained a stable orbit while the scientists worked. She enjoyed these quiet moments, observing the wonders of the solar system. Through the neural interface, she could feel the subtle vibrations of the ship, the distant electromagnetic pulses from Jupiter, the gentle tug of its many moons. 3 days into the Jupiter mission, as the science team prepared to launch atmospheric probes into the planets. Clouds, the ship's alert system activated, unidentified object approaching. The ship's AI announced, "Not matching any known profile." Kira expanded her awareness through the neural interface, scanning the surrounding space. She felt it before she saw it, a disturbance in the local gravitational field. Something large was moving toward them fast, all personnel secure for possible evasive maneuvers. She called out, then focused her attention on the approaching object. The ship's sensors resolved the image, a vessel larger than the horizon, sleek and black with no visible propulsion system. It was not Zorathi design. Kira had studied all known Zorathi ship configurations during her training. This was something else entirely. "Unknown vessel is hailing us," the communication officer reported. "Audio only, no visual." "Put it through," Sharon ordered, having hurried to the command deck. A voice filled the ship, speaking in perfect English, but with an odd, resonant quality that made the words seem to echo. "Human vessel, you have entered prohibited space. Identify your purpose." Sharon glanced at Kira, then responded, "This is Dr. Sharon Hayes of the Earth Research Vessel. Horizon, we are conducting scientific observations of Jupiter. Our presence is peaceful." A pause then. "Earth vessel, your species is not registered for operations in this sector. Your technology exceeds your approved development level. Explain." The command crew exchanged confused looks. Sharon cleared her throat. "We're not aware of any registration requirement or development restrictions. Who are you representing?" Another pause longer, this time. "You bear Zorathi technology, yet claim ignorance of galactic protocols. This is a severe violation. The Zorathi will answer for this breach. You will power down your systems and prepare for boarding." Kira felt a spike of fear, but kept her expression neutral. As the ship's pilot, her job was to remain calm in crisis. "Dr. Hayes, we have options for evasion. The horizon is faster than anything we've built before. We might be able to outrun them." Sharon shook her head. "We don't know their capabilities, and running would only make us look guilty of something. We need to understand what's happening here." She addressed the communication system again. "Unknown vessel, we will comply but request clarification. We are operating under formal knowledge exchange with the Zorathi. Our presence here is authorized by Earth governments. Your internal authorizations are irrelevant," the voice replied. "Prepare for boarding." The alien ship moved closer, its black surface seeming to absorb rather than reflect light. As it approached, Kira could see it was covered in symbols unlike any language she had encountered through the neural interface. Kira felt something strange. The ship's systems were responding to an external signal. Displays flickered, power levels fluctuated. "They're scanning us," she reported. "Deep scan penetrating all systems." A shimmering field appeared in the center of the command deck, coalescing into 3 figures. They were tall and thin with silvery skin that reflected the ship's lights. Their heads were elongated with no visible eyes but a series of ridges where eyes would be on a human. They wore what appeared to be armor, though it moved like liquid flowing around their bodies. One stepped forward. "I am Enforcer Raxus of the Galactic Oversight Coalition." Your vessel has been seized for investigation. You will provide access to all data regarding your acquisition of restricted technology. Sharon stood her ground, impressive given the circumstances. We have no knowledge of any restrictions. The Zorathi initiated contact with Earth and offered a knowledge exchange. We're simply using what they shared. The aliens' head tilted. Unsanctioned knowledge transfer to a pre-coalition civilization is a severe violation. The Zorathi are well aware of development protocols. They will face sanction for this breach. You will be detained until investigation is complete. Detained, Sharon repeated. For how long and where? Coalition Processing Center duration, undetermined. Raxus replied, all crew will be held in stasis during transfer. Kira focused intensely through the neural interface, trying to understand what was happening to the ship systems. The alien scanning technology was like nothing she had encountered, but the interface designed with Zorathi principles gave her insights. The aliens were not just scanning the horizon. They were downloading its database, all information about Earth human technology, the knowledge exchange, everything. A wild idea formed in Kira's mind. The neural interface worked both ways. She could feel the alien scan like an intrusion into the ship systems. Could she follow that connection back, trace it to its source, understand the alien technology from within? It was risky. The Zorathi had warned against attempting to expand the neural interface beyond its designed parameters. But this situation seemed to warrant the risk. While Sharon continued talking with the aliens, trying to negotiate, Kira deepened her connection to the ship, following the alien scan signal back to its source. It was like swimming upstream against a powerful current. Her consciousness stretched, extended beyond the horizon, reaching toward the alien vessel. Suddenly, she was in too. Awareness simultaneously, in the horizon and somehow perceiving the alien ship. Its systems were vastly different, organized around principles she barely comprehended. But there was something familiar, an underlying mathematical structure similar to Zorathi designs. The realization hit her. These aliens knew the Zorathi had interacted with them before. There was history here, complex politics that humans had stumbled into unknowingly, with effort. Kira pulled back, returning fully to her body on the horizon. Her heart raced her, breathing shallow, but she had learned something critical. 3 days had passed since the Galactic Oversight Coalition enforcers had seized the horizon. The human crew remained confined to specific sections of their own ship. While the aliens maintained control of critical systems, Kira Johnson spent most of her time in the pilot chamber, disconnected from the neural interface by Enforcer Raxus orders, but still monitoring what systems she could access. The promised Zorathi representatives had finally arrived, their ship smaller than the Coalition vessel, but recognizably Zorathi in design, with its organic curves and blue pulsing lights, had docked with the horizon hours ago. Now the human crew waited anxiously in the conference room. The door slid open, revealing 2 Zorathi. Their feathers were deep indigo, almost black, a color Kira had never seen on the aliens before. They were accompanied by Enforcer Raxus and another Coalition officer, Captain Hayes' crew of Horizon. One of the Zorathi spoke through a translation device. I am Elder Zethral of the Zorathi High Council. This is Diplomatic Envoy Torleth. We have come to address the situation. Sharon rose to greet them. We're grateful for your arrival. We've been told we're in violation of some galactic regulations. We knew nothing. About Elder Zethral's feathers rippled in what Kira had learned to recognize as discomfort. The situation is complex. The Coalition claims we violated Protocol 372 regarding technology transfer to pre-Coalition civilizations. Enforcer Raxus stepped forward, his silvery skin catching the light. The violation is not in question. The evidence is clear. Zorathi technology has been integrated into this vessel. Neural interfaces, planetary terraforming, medical regeneration, all transferred to a species that has not even achieved stable self-governance. With respect, Sharon countered, Earth has been managing its own affairs for thousands of years. You have over 200 separate political entities engaged in constant resource competition and periodic armed conflict, Raxus stated flatly. By coalition standards, Earth remains in developmental stage 3 pre-cohesion. This stage requires limited contact observation only. No direct technological transfer is permitted until stage 4 is achieved. Kira watched the exchange with growing understanding. The galaxy had rules, systems of governance humans had never imagined, and somehow they had become pawns in what seemed to be a political disagreement between established galactic powers. Elder Zethral addressed the coalition enforcer. The Zorathi Council maintains that Protocol 372 allows exceptions for species showing accelerated development potential. Humanity has demonstrated remarkable adaptive capacity. Their neural integration rates exceed all previous records. Their conceptual flexibility surpasses even the Mendari. Potential is not achievement, the second enforcer responded. The protocols exist to prevent precisely this scenario, an immature species gaining access to technology beyond their social development creates instability. Their first application was weaponization, which was rejected, Zethral countered. By consensus, their collective wisdom prevailed. Sharon cleared her throat. Excuse me, but we're sitting right here. Could someone please explain exactly what's happening? What is this coalition? How many other species are out there? What are these development stages you're talking about? The two aliens seemed surprised as if they'd momentarily forgotten the humans were present. Diplomatic envoy Torleth spoke for the first time. Your questions are reasonable. The Galactic Oversight Coalition formed approximately 12,000 of your years ago. It currently includes 27 spacefaring civilizations from this sector of the galaxy. The Zorathi were among the founding members. The coalition exists to manage interspecies relations, prevent resource conflicts, and oversee technological development across multiple worlds, Raxus added. Development stages are assessed based on specific criteria: social cohesion, ecological stability, energy utilization, and cognitive integration. Earth is currently at stage 3, having achieved spaceflight, but lacking planetary unification and sustainable resource management. And you're saying the Zorathi broke the rules by helping us? Kira said, yes. Raxus confirmed. The standard protocol for stage 3 civilizations is observation only with minimal contact restricted to cultural exchange. No technology transfer is permitted until a species achieves stage 4 status, which we believe humanity is ready for, Zethral insisted. Our research indicated humans were suffering from developmental suppression due to resource allocation priorities. Once this artificial barrier was removed, progress accelerated dramatically. The humans exchanged glances. This explained much about the Zorathi approach, their focus on environmental and medical technology, their careful monitoring of how humans used what they learned. So what's going to happen now? Sharon asked. To Earth. A determination council has been convened, Raxus explained. They will assess the situation and rule on appropriate measures. These could range from memory, adjustment of all humans aware of Zorathi contact, to full technological reclamation. Memory adjustment, Kira repeated, horrified. You mean erasing our memories? A standard procedure when premature contact occurs, Raxus said, as if discussing something. Routine. Painless and selective. Only memories related to advanced technology would be removed. And technological reclamation. Sharon pressed removal of all transferred technology and knowledge. Torleth explained, looking uncomfortable. Earth would return to its previous development trajectory. The implications were staggering. All the medical advances, environmental restoration, energy systems gone. Diseases that had been cured would return. Millions who had benefited from Zorathi medical technology might suffer or die. That can't happen, Kira said firmly. Too many lives depend on what we've learned. The Determination Council will consider all factors, Zethral assured them. The Zorathi will argue strongly for an exception. We believe humanity represents a special case. When does this council meet? Sharon asked, and can we present our case? The council convenes in 3 orbital cycles. Raxus answered, "Approximately 72 of your hours. No pre-coalition species has ever directly addressed the council. Then we'll be the first," Sharon said with determination. "We deserve to speak for ourselves." The aliens seemed taken aback by this assertion. Raxus looked to the Zorathi as if expecting them to explain to the humans why this was impossible. Instead, Elder Zethral's feathers shifted to a lighter shade. The human representatives raise a valid point. The protocols do not specifically forbid testimony from affected species, merely that it has never been done. The precedent could be valuable. After much debate, it was agreed 2 human representatives would be permitted to address the Determination Council. Kira and Sharon were selected, Kira because of her neural interface experience, and Sharon as mission commander. The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. The Zorathi provided information about coalition protocols, the history of interspecies relations, and the specific regulations regarding technology. Transfer, Kira and Sharon worked tirelessly, drafting arguments, researching precedents, and preparing evidence. When the time came, they were escorted to the coalition vessel, a massive ship that dwarfed both the Horizon and the Zorathi craft. The interior was austere, geometric patterns in metallic, surfaces with light that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere. The Determination Council chamber was circular with raised platforms around the perimeter. Beings of various species sat on these platforms, some recognizably humanoid, others utterly alien in form. A central platform hovered in the middle of the room, where Kira and Sharon were directed to stand. 7 coalition members comprising the Determination Council sat on a higher platform. The chairperson, a being with translucent skin, through which complex organs could be seen, addressed them. This council is convened to determine remediation for Protocol 372 violations involving unsanctioned technology, transfer to the species-designated humans of Earth. The council recognizes Elder Zethral of the Zorathi. Zethral stepped forward. Honored Council the Zorathi. High Council acknowledges contact with humanity, but maintains our actions fall within the exception clauses of Protocol 372. Specifically, subsection 17 regarding species with exceptional adaptive potential, and subsection 23 regarding species facing imminent developmental collapse. Noted, the chairperson acknowledged, the council recognizes Enforcer Raxus. Raxus presented the coalition's position that Earth clearly failed to meet Stage 4 requirements, that the Zorathi had violated multiple regulations, and that standard remediation procedures should apply. Finally, the chairperson turned to the humans. The council recognizes an extraordinary exception, the representatives of Earth. This is unprecedented. Representatives understand that your statements become part of coalition records. Sharon stepped forward, first explaining humanity's perspective, their lack of knowledge about coalition rules, their good faith cooperation with the Zorathi, the benefits derived from the knowledge exchange. She presented data showing accelerated development in environmental restoration, global cooperation, and medical advancement. Then it was Kira's turn. She had debated what approach to take, finally deciding on honesty rather than legal arguments. Honored Council, she began. I'm a pilot, I operate machines. I'm not a diplomat or scientist, I can't argue regulations or cite precedents, but I can tell you what the Zorathi knowledge has meant to me personally.